When you think of biology lab, the biggest thing is doing something. Yes, you're doing labs every week in multiple labs and exploring places around our community. But there is a project that really gets you to dive into more about yourself and how the impacts of the things you do permeate in the environment. And that's the Carbon Footprint Project. So this project is going on throughout the semester. This can be focused on yourself. It can be focused on your family. It can be focused on anything in between. So let's talk a little bit more about it. So the goal of this project is to have you do a carbon footprint assessment of yourself, or you and your roommates, or you and your family, whatever you find is easiest. And then the idea is that you develop goals to address during the semester. If you reach your goals, that's awesome. That's obviously what my goal is for you, is to reach your goals and to make improvements in your life. If you end up not, it's okay. Like, you're not going to get points deducted because you didn't make a meaningful change. But I'm hoping that through the labs that you're doing that help you interact with your environment, if you're taking or have taken the environmental lecture, that you've learned a lot about how we can make impacts to the environment. And here's your chance to actually do it and earn some points along the way. So there's a couple of different deadlines throughout the semester, which are all listed here. These are also listed in the syllabus and in Blackboard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of skip this table and just get straight into the assignments. So first you have a quiz that's kind of reviewing the information. And then the first real assignment is the initial analysis. So for this initial analysis, you're going to navigate to a website that's listed here and fill out the questions to complete your ecological footprint. Now you might be like, but you said carbon footprint. I did. Carbon footprint's kind of like the super popular one that everyone knows about. This ecological footprint is very similar. Honestly, it was just the best one I could find online. So their website uses ecological footprint a lot, this project, and I'll say carbon footprint a lot. They're not exactly the same, but they're close enough that I'm calling them interchangeable. They're not, but that's what we're going to say. So the first thing you're going to do is just complete the quiz and see where you are at. The output of the quiz will say something like you use 4.5 Earths worth of resources. And it's really going to be this output that you're going to explore more throughout this project. So for your initial analysis, you're going to open up a Word document and you're going to start typing stuff. And you're going to type an introduction. What is a carbon or an ecological footprint? What is your footprint? How many Earths are you using? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you're doing good? Maybe not so good? The results will also break down categories. So maybe mobility is your highest and food is your lowest. Why is that? So take some time to explain why you think your highest and your lowest categories are those. And then develop a goal. Just one goal. This is a 6-week course. During the regular semester, I have students develop 3 goals and then some, but I realize you are not going to make tons of changes. I encourage you to go for more, but at least for this report and for this project, you really just need to develop 1. I'm going to put an asterisk next to that. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. And then the table. So on the last page of these instructions, there is a table. This table has a bunch of questions that are from the carbon footprint quiz. So when you start the quiz, have this table open. It's going to say something like, how much beef or lamb are you consuming? And on the website, you're turning a dial that might be like, oh, it's 75%. And then maybe this is what you want to address. You're like, you know what? I've really been trying to eat less beef. I'd like to get it to 50%. So when it says fill in the table, it's referring to the table on this last page. The reason I have you guys do this is that later in the semester, you're going to fill in your finals so that it's a lot easier to see how you've changed in the different categories. So let's go back up to our initial analysis. So that's it for just kind of your initial prompt. Now, I want you guys to get ideas from other students, so I am going to have you post this part of the project in the discussion board. You're going to create a new thread, have a title that has the number of Earths you've used. In the text box, you are not going to insert your Microsoft Word document. You are not going to straight up copy and paste everything you put in the Word document. That Word document is a preface to your final report that's going to be due at the end of the semester. For this discussion board, You do not need to tell everyone what a carbon footprint is. Everyone is also doing the same research. So for your discussion board, I'm having you very specifically copy and paste certain parts of this initial analysis. And those certain parts are the parts that have these asterisks. So for your introduction, in the discussion board, just copy and paste the paragraphs related to your analysis. Don't copy and paste your information about a carbon footprint. So just kind of putting that out there. Now you might be like, well, if I'm not putting that in the discussion board, how do you know that I even wrote anything about the carbon footprint? Well, at the end of the semester, that information does need to be in your final report. If you want to slack and you want to wait to add it to your report until the end of the semester, go for it. But I purposely have you start some of this stuff, even if it's not going in the discussion board. I purposely have you starting some of this stuff to make your life easier as you work on this project. By the end of the day, the initial discussion board, I'm only grading the things that are asterisked. So, you're going to create a title, catchy title related to how many earths you use. You're going to copy and paste some of your report into the discussion board. And then finally, you're going to reply to 2 other students. Now you might be like, oh, if you've ever taken an online class, I have to respond to discussion boards. And I'm sorry if you feel that way. But here's what I want you to do. I want these to be productive replies. And here's what I mean by that. 2 student boards. On one board, you are the supportive cheerleader. You're like, wow, you want to address beef and lamb. Maybe you have a similar goal, or maybe you have ideas for them. Be like, hey, you're trying to reduce your beef. I know you really like burgers because you said you really like burgers. I barely eat any beef because I started eating Beyond Burgers. Maybe that's something you can try out. So on one student's board, you are the supportive cheerleader giving ideas on how to help them reach their goal. On another student's board, and you might have to read a couple boards, you need to adopt their goal. So you've created your own goal. Maybe your own goal was reducing the amount that you drive. And you're reading someone's board and they're like, oh, I plan on getting an electric vehicle. And you're like, you know what? I'm actually looking for a car. And they did some of their research about how they want to get, a Nissan Leaf. I actually really like that. And I think I can make that a goal. So you're going to adopt their goal. And in your reply to them, you're going to tell them like, hey, that's a really cool idea. I kind of want to learn more about this from you because this is the goal I'm going to adopt. And this is like a formal adoption process in the sense that in your report later on in the semester, I'm going to ask you about that goal. You're going to have to write about that goal. So don't be like, if they want to eat more bananas, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, you are adopting this. This will be in your report. So whatever goal that you're adopting from a classmate, be serious about it because you need to do research on it and you need to report on it. So don't willy-nilly just accept anything. Really read through the different responses to see which ones might be viable for yourself. So this is your initial discussion board post. A couple weeks after that, there's a check-in. It is a 5-point check-in just saying like, hey, how's it going? Any barriers you're running into? Things going well? Have you completely forgotten about everything? So it's meant to kind of remind you like, hey, you're working on this project and hopefully working on things on yourself. And then finally, I shouldn't say finally, but written wise, then you have your actual final report. It's going to include the report you've already been writing so far. You're just going to add a couple sections. So progress. How did you do? Did you get better? Did you get worse? Retake the quiz for your conclusion. Did your number of Earths go down? Did it go up? Did it stay the same? It's okay. No matter what it is, it's okay. And then there's a further research section. So you and I have these personal footprints. That's awesome. You and I can make actions that make the world a better place. Cool. But in reality, our governments really need to step in and make some initiatives, make some laws, make some regulations that make it easier for everyday citizens to reduce our footprint. And so for further research, you're going to do some research to see what kind of laws and initiatives are other countries doing that are helping that country to reduce their footprints. And then finally, you'll insert the table, but the table is now going to be filled out with your final as well as the information from 2 goals. Remember, not just the goal that you said, but also the goal that you told another, or the goal you said and the goal you adapted from another student. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to go through everything, but also trying to go through it quickly. Last thing, you're going to do a presentation. You're going to do a flash talk style presentation where you are presenting all of the information related to your report. It is your report in presentation form. It is a 3-minute talk, 10 slides. Each slide is 18 seconds. It automatically advances, so there's no way you can go under or over time. It'll be exactly there for you. Take lots of pictures during your project. Share those pictures. This is really just a way of saying like, hey, here's what I was trying to do this semester. Here's how successful or not so successful it was. You'll be sharing these in the discussion board, and you'll get a chance to watch other students' presentations as well. There's going to be more information as well as examples about this flash talk available on Blackboard. If you are in my Bio 106 summer course, you'll already know this presentation style because we do an identical presentation to this in that course. And again, it's okay if not. And that is it. Yeah. So I will say, before each assignment, this video was meant to be a very quick overview. Before each assignment, read through the instructions carefully. It is very easy to get a 100% on this project as long as you're reading the instructions and including everything that you need to. With that, that's pretty much the end of this. I hope you get something out of this project. I didn't make this to be busy work. I made it to hopefully inspire you guys to make some changes, whether they're big or whether they're small, in order to help us preserve our ecosystems and our resources.